Hey there, welcome. Today I wanted to talk about how faith is implicit and God is realer than we could ever imagine. And the differences that different spiritual paths are taking, they are semantic differences for a lot of the conversation. But some of it is just different experiences of reality being what we call God. And this is kind of a continuation of my last video I recorded, which was about how we react to the word God and to spirituality and to religion, and the positive portion of this reaction is realizing we don't need any of these concepts or labels to experience spiritual truths or just truth. And it can open up pathways to lessen suffering to people that might not usually go towards spirituality. So people, watching their words and choosing more secular language, there is a positive portion where it just broadens the audience. The negative portion is that we're afraid. We're reactive, we're triggered by these words, by these notions, and then we create notions out of them from our limited standpoint, which is reactive and fearful and aversive. And these limited notions aren't what these words are about. These words are naturally, by their essence, about an unlimited reality. God, moksha, enlightenment, nirvana, Buddhahood. It doesn't matter which ones we pick. Great Spirit, it's talking about these almost boundless essences, entities, qualities, or existence itself. And so when we react with a limited notion in our consciousness about that word, about that label, we do ourselves a disservice. We do the world a disservice too. So I mentioned how there's no point in us reacting negatively at all for our own health and then promoting a more equanimous state of being for others. But then there's also, we limit our own understanding of wisdom and truth when we don't really listen to the true meaning of words. We miss out on what's true because we're just thinking in limited viewpoints. And so this video, I'm just going to talk about how no matter what we do, which practice we choose, which path we take, beyond our competitive arguments internally about which way is better and which path is best and what, it doesn't matter. We have to have faith in something. We have faith in our body to operate. We have faith in the sun to come up and go down. I guess, the earth to spin. We have faith in photosynthesis so we can breathe. We have faith in our reasoning capacity. We have faith in our rationality. We have faith in the capacity of our consciousness to find truth, to practice meditation, or faith in psychedelics to give us answers, or faith in, that other people have found answers and other people are smart and wise. No matter what we do, we will have faith, because faith is simply a part of existence. Because existence happens no matter what. It is always here. And that's what we call God. That's what the yogis are calling God. That's what the Tibetan Buddhists are calling the great perfection. It's the simple beingness and presence and consciousness of this moment that is undeniable. And it's not limited by any viewpoint we have about it. So that existence, we implicitly have faith in it because it always is, always will be, and always has been. It might not have always been like this, just like how we go to sleep and we maybe have experiences that are beyond organ sensations, like the sensations of our body, and experiences that are beyond memory formation. So we don't really remember them when we wake up because they aren't a type of experience that necessarily uses that faculty of consciousness. And so we know that existence can look very different and feel very different and be very different, but it is nonetheless. And so we have implicit faith in this. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am," and beyond his mind-body dualisms or specific viewpoints and perceptions he's had about the world, and that sentence is very important because it's not even "I think, therefore I am." It's just like, well, this is, so duh. Of course it is. There's just no argument. Whether we say I am or it is, we are. And that's where the faith roots from, is existence. And that existence is God. That's what we're calling God. God isn't just like this separate thing that's limited and it's just bound by human definition up in the sky or in a different dimension or only at certain parts of history in certain appearances. It is existence itself. It's existence itself because existence is infinite. No reducing fits. There's no reduction of reality we can trust. You can try, but we'll be wrong. Why are we wrong? Because we know for a fact human history is limited. Human sense data is limited. Human record keeping is limited. Human technology up to now is also still limited, even though it grows and grows, it's still limited. We always know there's a margin of error in how we interpret our sense data and data acquired from measurements and technology. There's a margin for error in if we collected the right data to assume things about reality. And we have literal data that there are things beyond our grasp. Dark matter, dark energy, things about gravity and electromagnetism. We don't fully understand them. This is accepted in science, in the rational field. We know that it is incomplete and ever evolving. And so why would we believe reality itself is reduced to any theory, to any interpretation we have? Why would we do that's just we're creating our own error. We're creating our own limitation. We know it's not that. We know for a fact it isn't that. Every inductive, empirical data that we have to try and encapsulate all of reality into a reduced frame or structure or theory, or just like what we think reduced reality is, like the physical world or what have you, even a metaphysical world that someone might come up with. We know for a fact it is incomplete. It's not sufficient. If we trust empiricism as much as we do in science, then we trust that we don't know everything. Because science shows us that. It shows us there's always more to learn, always more to measure, always more variables that have gone unmeasured that we don't know yet. And so why would we have a theory of reality that's reduced, that's less, that's finite? And where is the evidence that reality is finite at all? Even when we just look at bodies, we look at matter. Well, one, we know that there's so much more to matter than we can fully know, whether that's through quantum physics experiments and research, subatomic research, even astrophysics, where we're understanding things about dark matter, dark energy, like I said, things about gravity, electromagnetism, and then the issues with consciousness and matter, the hard problem of consciousness, like how do these two things relate and create each other, or who causes who, what is it exactly? We have so much territory to learn, and none of it shows that it's finite. Like I said, even bodies, like atoms and stuff, there's so much more to them than we know. And then even a single human body it's a Theseus ship, it just intakes like molecules and lets them go, creates our organs, lets them go, and just rebuilds all the time. And then we decay, and every matter particle that we know of, which is also more than that, it's like there's more to the matter than meets the eye, because we can't see everything, we can't detect everything, so even all of our ideas about atoms are incomplete. Well, all that matter just shifts, has no end, doesn't seem to disappear. We have just theories about how it was created by supernovas and the Big Bang and stuff. But this also is a theory. We don't have evidence of this, or as in proof. We don't have evidence that proves this. And then what happened before that? All of this to say is that empirically, nothing shows finitude as like a whole overarching reality. And when you actually think about reality, you're always going to run into an ad infinitum of what created this, what created this, what created that, what's outside of this, what's beyond this, what's after this, what's after this. So assuming finite, reduced reality is just incoherent. So why play that game? If you're honestly searching for truth, which I am, and I know a lot of you are, there are very few people that will watch this, but cascading out, we watch people on the internet all the time searching for truth, philosophically, scientifically. Why settle on any reduction when we know that it's incomplete, it's not true, because all of our reduced data is not reality, and we know it can't be finite. We know it can't be finite because there will always be something that created the finitude, or something that sustained it, something that allowed it to come into being. It's infinite. It's the only explanation. Even if we want to make, kind of fancier technical explanations, that's going to rely on data. It's going to rely on empiricism, which is going to be limited, and it's not going to suffice. And so this existence, our attention, our awareness right now, our presence, this is infinite. And we have faith in that, because it is. Whether you don't even need to call it infinite, you don't need any word, it is. It is here, existence is, and we have faith in it. We can't not. It is the undeniable root faith. And this is what we are actually talking about when we talk about God. And we're talking about existence beyond our limited understanding, because we know our understanding is limited. That's the beauty of our mind. We can see our own limitations whether it's, we call it our biology, our evolution, our cultural, conceptual frameworks, maybe a mix of all of it and more, we can understand that, oh, yeah, like, the dog can hear things I can't hear, and there's things happening that we can't detect. And I know there is, because we have all these different signs that this is happening. And it'd be very haughty to think, oh no, we know it all. Because if we did, then we'd have to distrust, how bees interact. We'd have to distrust the smell of a dog, the hearing of a cat. We'd have to distrust anything new from technology that isn't our own sense data. But we don't, because it's dumb. It's not intelligent. So we know we're limited. But we exist. That existence is infinite. There's no reason to think it's finite at all. And we have faith in that. That's God. I say this because we don't need to talk much about this stuff. Like, it was literally, it's like literally was said in the Upanishads, like some of the oldest texts in existence that we know of. That it's all God, food's God, the air is God, the sky's God, the clouds are God, the plants are God, the sun is God, our consciousness is God. There's nothing that isn't Brahman. And it's endless love, endless bliss. Like, it's infinite, so it's like the best of the best is present, And because of it's infinite, the worst of the worst is present, but you can be unaffected because you're infinite. And the worst of the worst is only the worst because it keeps rejecting itself, infinity. It keeps limiting and separating and ostracizing its own existence from itself with limited perceptions and harm causing. So the point of this is there's an aspect of spirituality that is phenomenological by nature, as in it's something to be experienced. It's not something to be limited. And there comes a point where it's not something to be really thought about or conceptualized. And this is very well known in non-duality. The non-dual God is the God that doesn't need you to worship it, the God that doesn't require favors, the God that doesn't require any level of ideas about heaven and flowers. It's the always present, infinite existence that we have implicit faith in. That's another thing. The non-dual realizer realizes it's not about reading all these texts and arguing with people or trying to convince others. It's about realizing the truth of existence right here and now. And implicit faith is basically part of that. It's undeniable. And I bring this up because if we have this implicit faith, and we realize it, remember it, we're not afraid of others. We're not afraid of momentary pains and struggles, conflicts. We don't get upset that someone's different or has a different worldview than us, or a temporary pattern that's unhealthy or causes suffering. And we're not afraid to hold people accountable for those things or try to help them change. And then we cooperate. We build together, we live together, we do things that make life really nice because there's no reason not to, because we all are experiencing beings and we all understand what it is to suffer and feel good. And then we also don't need too much to feel good, because we're rooted in infinite reality. So the point of all this, there's a very pragmatic point to phenomenological, non-intellectual, spiritual pursuit or experience. And that is, we realize this boundless implicit faith in an entity that's all-encompassing, beyond our description and beyond our limits, and we're all in it together. And so we make a better world together, without fear, without resistance. We don't really need big houses with too much stuff and extravagant trips around the world, and we don't need specific circumstances where people praise us and give us attention and put us up on a pedestal. We don't even need to be like the spokesperson. We don't need to be the person that helps the world. I'm the hero, or I'm the one that does good. I'm the bodhisattva. We don't need any of that, because we have this indestructible faith, beginningless and endless. And we have it all together at the same time. And we realize we still need to eat some stuff to survive for a bit, but then once it's time, the body's, showing its signs that it's leaving, it's going back to Earth, we also have faith and we don't get scared. We realize that there's no reason to face disease and poisonous plants and venomous creatures and destructing environmental catastrophes. So we share shelter. There's no reason to fear the future. So we're not hoarding resources from other people, making things advantageous for this individual body while at the expense of other bodies. We're not afraid to let someone into our home. Not afraid to talk about these things. And not afraid to change our position and our perceptual standpoint. Because there's no pride. It was always infinity all along anyways. It wasn't us. We aren't really anything, so we don't really need to have pride in ourself and our intelligence. And if we're right. And I say all that to get us free of suffering. And I say all that because I don't seem to have too many opportunities to help the world, because we're all kind of in our own little boxes. That's universally not true, but there's a lot of people are. And we have to be able to break out of those boxes a little bit and trust. And by trusting, I mean just being, just letting beingness do its thing, which is infinity. Because we're a lot of talking heads out there on the internet and in groups of people, and we're not really coalescing our vibrations, our presence together. It's a lot of still competition and comparison and hoarding of resources and time and so on. And so we're not really making much progress as a spiritual community. And then a lot are just trying to make money from it. And this is just more separation, especially if it's too expensive and it's classist by nature of it being pricey, which a lot of it is. And so people don't really have the chance to live a lifestyle where they can practice coalescing into the infinite one together with others, because it's too much money, or people in control resist that way of doing and they just rather fit an image of meditating or an image of spirituality, or just live in the fame of spirituality that might come, live in the luxuries of that might come, even if it's not as big as other people who might be even more excessive. Really, when we think of what we need, it's so little. It's very little. And it's not about judging. It's not about hating and comparing. It's just about, if we sit here arguing about what consciousness is God real or not, what's the self, what's the metaphysics of reality, we sit and try and figure out these things we can't technically figure out in a reduced standpoint, and try to debate each other, try to make money from this intellectualizing process. Well, we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to miss the thing that's under our nose. That's what we're looking for, the treasure. The treasure that's just this, always. So, I hope that anybody watching this can realize what I'm saying, what has been said, and remember the infinite, the implicit faith, and remember it doesn't matter what word we use: God, Shiva, emptiness, enlightenment, truth, love. And take away our competitiveness. We're not here to beat other people or be smarter or have the answer in this one bubble of experience. That's not how reality works. And rather just be together, unified. Because I see people online trying to find the truth, talk about the truth, but to be honest, a lot of just wealthier people living in their bubbles of life. Not all of them, not judging them. It's just like, well, this is not the way. People are struggling. People need help. People need love. People are us. We're all one. And why be afraid of them? Why be afraid of helping? If we experience truth, we don't need much. We don't need to be the ascetic in a cave, but we really don't need much. And if we are making excess, it's not a good sign that we use it to make more excess, or we use it to experience more luxuries or material consumerist things. This isn't what's going to make us happy. It's not going to help the world be happy, and it's not going to help us experience truth, which is always present. It's going to take us away by confining our desires and our behavior system into a specific set of choices that disclude other people. So it discludes part of ourselves, and thus we alienate our own being from truth, because truth is who we are, which includes all. And consumerism, typically, almost all the time, includes alienating other beings due to how we treat workers and environments and ecosystems and animals, and how it just creates an economy that's ever more classist, increasing wealth gap, That's not everything. You know, you can buy from a local artisan, you can buy simple produce from the farmer. You know, it's like there are ways in which our economy is potentially positive, but we know most of it isn't. And a lot of us contribute to that. And that means we alienate ourselves. And so that pride we might feel from being smarty pants and having the answer, or having the answer a little bit better than someone else, or that excitement in searching for the answer but not living the answer, all of that can be healed by diving into the implicit faith in the infinite existence of every moment and being fearless and one with all. And that is, for me at this moment, the best way I can describe non-duality. Thank you so much for watching. Om Sarnam.